Hello guys, this is an updated tier list video. I'm still going to treat this as if you are a new player and I will go in depth on every single unit. However, what happened since the beginning of the year, I made my last video at the end of the year basically, and the meta was different then. It already changed like so much over 4 months or so, 4, 5, 6 months, right? That I was already dissatisfied with my like tier list within like a couple months. It was like, oh my god, this tier list is already out of date. So we got to do a new one here. So I'm on our Armada tier list. I decided to add the Juno, even though it's available for both factions. This is a building. Um, it basically charges up a little tactical missile that can't be blocked. It causes an EMP in a large area that destroys ticks. It destroys rovers, which are the scout vehicles. It destroys mines. And it can be massed in like 100 or 200 or 300 or something, some crazy number to destroy buildings or something. It's like that's kind of a wacky strategy. I don't even know if it even happens all that often. It's something I think you can do, but it's like it hardly ever happens. So I'm gonna put that with the in A tier with the rest of the detection radar bots, because this will also destroy radar and jammers. The bots will also die, like all the radar jammer vehicles and structures will also die. That's what Junos are for. I'm not going to put it in the Cortex tier list, but this is where Junos would be. I'm just putting it here so you don't forget that they exist. That's for new players. All right. So the meta has already changed. There's a bunch of buffs and nerfs, right? I think decoy command. This is the decoy commander, right? It's a fake commander with some build power and some DPS. Because it has DPS now and like it's cheaper and stuff. It's better, but I still think it's a little bit beyond all reason to build it, because in AP8, which is like what my tier list is catered towards, you're gonna have a whole bunch of commanders, and like you kind of don't really need to decoy a commander out. You'd much rather just get some engineers or more construction turrets. If you really need it, I mean, it's possible you could build this, put it on the front line, bait the enemy in, destroy their army. Like that's possible, but it's if you're doing that, you're beyond all reason. Okay, guys. Here is the beyond all. Oh, I forgot to do this here. S, A, B, C, niche, D, beyond all reason. Okay, good. S is oppressive. I would say oppressive. A is like solid. B is balanced. C is like okay if you field them, right? It's just okay. If you put them out, they'll do okay. Niche, they're not necessarily bad. They're just sort of uncommon. D, which is actually bad and beyond all reason, which is like you're just crazy or we don't have enough data on them. Or in this case, I just put in all the engineers because or the construction vehicles and bots, because they're always going to be good, and for the sake of an aesthetic tier list, I put them down here. Otherwise, they would all be A tier. The air constructors are very nice, though, because you can build very compact bases with them, and that's one use case that the others don't have, although they have the least build power per cost. So you would, in the early and mid games, want to build the other engineers, and then in the late stage of the game, you would want to build the air construction aircraft. All right. In D tier, this is the Armada tier list. In D tier, we have Twilight here. Twilight is a cloakable metal extractor. I'm gonna be real, guys. On AV8, it really sucks. Like, it is so hard to get this up and then to keep it around, because the places you want to build this are usually front lines. And guess what? Front lines get bombed a lot by like stray projectiles, and so it'll just be destroyed for no reason. And it costs upkeep energy to maintain its cloak, so it's pretty bad. The Cortex version is much better. Over here are the two T1 and T2 bot line Armada anti-air bots, which really shoot one high damage projectile like every so often, and they're good for like straggler air units. But like if you're fighting like a bomber swarm, a fighter swarm, like you do not want these. You want flak anti-air vehicles or buildings. So you do not want to be building anti-air bots. That's why I put them in D tier. We have our decoy fusion, which is still niche. I think now I'm gonna put it in beyond all reason. I don't think anyone has like really built it, and it really doesn't distract enemy bombers. And if they are able to bomb this, then you have a critical lack of anti-air, and your air player is like falling behind, and that's a problem. You needed flak vehicles, flak emplacements, or fighters from your air player. So if you have to resort to decoy fusions and getting them bombed by the enemy, that's kind of a beyond all reason strategy right there. All right. Abductors are a Armada unique air unit. I always forget to do this, but I only add like I try to add the unique units you will see generally on land. Water is fairly comparable between the two factions, so I haven't added them. into this tier list, or yeah. Same with hover. I mean, I think I have hover is between the two factions is very similar. I have some of the amphibious units here. There will be changes to them to this list with the what do you call it? With the hover units, okay, or the amphibious units. Okay, so the abductor is a Armada unique air T2 like EMP, right? It shoots EMP lasers. It can also act as a transport. And what's funny about this game is that transports can lift up enemy units. This is all transports. They can lift up enemy units, and that pretty much, if you get the lift off on them, that pretty much guarantees that they die. So the abductor can do that, which is kind of funny. It's still kind of niche because like Cortex Air is a little better because Cortex T1 has the Shuriken, which is like the best EMPer in the game. Abductors are just like T2, so they're more expensive. It's just kind of niche. Like they're okay if you send them out, if you're able to afford them and stuff. They're just okay, right? You use them for defense. They're a defensive air unit basically. Over here we have mobile anti-nuke, which is not bad at all. It's actually quite good. If you like mobile anti-nuke, you can use them. Otherwise, the standard defensive building of the anti-nuke will work just fine. All right, this is the Groundhog. It's the Minesweeper for the Armada faction. Mines aren't that bad at all. They are they cost energy upkeep to keep them cloaked. However, if they do connect to an enemy at some point, they are worth it pretty much. That is the thing, if they do connect, because the Juno can counter the mines by a single EMP from the Juno can destroy a whole bunch of mines and open up a hole for units to get through. On Supreme Isthmus, you might see them on the cliffside GOC, right? You'll put mines there, and maybe Marauders will get stopped by that, or the enemies will Juno it before the Marauders go in. And so they're kind of a niche strategy. They take a lot of APM and energy upkeep, and so they're just okay, I guess. Actually, I think. So Paralyzer, I do need to change the Paralyzer because I think it's actually a C tier. It's not like a niche where it could be good. I think it's hard for me to say on this because the other version that I added for the Cortex is a little better. I'll explain that later. But Paralyzer, you gotta be really good. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at, like, this is basically a nerf because going from niche, which means potentially good, to C, which is like meh. This is kind of a nerf for the Paralyzer, in my opinion, on the tier list. It's like the Paralyzer relies on you having units to destroy enemies. It's not going to do anything on its own, pretty much. If it shoots out a little tactical missile that takes up to like 13 seconds to land. I tested it at some point, which is kind of hard to land on enemy units. It depends on distance as well, how far you're targeting them away. So you have to like hit the shot and predict their movement, which is kind of hard to do. And then it only EMPs them, which is just a stun. And you're just going to have to rely on units to run up and hit them afterwards, which is just not great. If they're running into your Paralyzer, you have a different issue. You don't want a Paralyzer in that situation. You want T2 point defense. You want pop-ups, basically. You don't want Paralyzers in that situation. You much rather spend that money on all the pop-ups, basically. In the same tier, we have the Prude. Prudes aren't that bad. I think they're much better than Paralyzers, so I will move them back up a little bit in the C tier. Prudes are actually not that bad. I think I was going hard on them last tier list, but they can be useful if you want to have a safe T2 Geo, basically. So I will put them at the top of C tier now. They're actually, they're just okay. They're the most okay structure. Okay, Sprinter. Sprinter stays where it is. It is just a glorified, bigger, faster pawn that costs a lot more, and it's T2, so it's kind of eh. It is useful as a stopgap unit if you're getting like you need units right now, and you have the income and the factory and the build power. You can rush out sprinters to try to stop a run by or something, right? So they have a use, so they're just okay, which is why they're C tier. All right, Platypus. This is a T2 bot line and amphibious. It's a hovercraft basically with a laser and anti-air on board. I'm moving it up to high A tier now, and I'm moving it up to. I think I'm gonna put it right here, in high A tier, just beneath the pawn right now. Actually, I'll get to the pawn later. But Platypi are really good on Supreme Isthmus. You really don't want to build them on any map where you don't have to cross water, all right? So these are water exclusive units. Like all amphibious, all hovercraft units, you only want to build them when you have like water to cross, because otherwise they trade worse against land units, right? Land units have a slight advantage, right? The deal with platypi is in the high level lobbies that I've been playing in, Eco and just anyone in general can spam these out like crazy once we get to higher levels of income and do flanking attacks on the sides, as well as help fight on water, which could be pretty good. So very good unit. It's a little expensive, but you swarm them out, you get a lot of them. They have very low laser DPS, but decent, like, their anti-air is okay, right? They have low laser DPS, so you need a whole lot of them for them to do like a lot of damage really quick. So they're kind of low on DPS, but for what they do, they're really good. Let's see, where was I? Okay, the what do you call it? The amphibious like tanks stay where they are. You really only want to use them if you have to cross water. They're just tanks that like can go into the water and cross water. That's basically it. Webbers stay where they are. Webbers are spiders, which means they can climb up cliffs. They EMP and reclaim. They cannot resurrect anything, which makes them kind of okay. I mean, yeah, I think they're just okay. If you use them as resbots to reach hard to reach places, they're okay. They have a little EMP attack that's close range. It's okay. Gunslingers are T2 units from the botline factory that bully T1. They have like very mid-range, low to mid-range. They have good DPS, good accuracy actually. They HP regen really quickly as well. So they bully T1 super hard, but they lose to like all the other T2 units because the T2 units just have longer range and can deal with the gunslingers. All right, Razorbacks. I still keep Razorbacks in C tier. I think Razorbacks are still okay units to put out. So Razorbacks are like these mechs that move okay, moderate to fast speed, right? Kind of moderate. A little fast, right? It's just like that upper middle, right, speed. They have okay so HP. They have very good DPS though, but their range is really not that great. They can hit air, but the problem is because of their low range, you need to micro them like constantly. That makes them kind of difficult to use. If you're not microing them, they're like one of the biggest wastes of money possible because they will get pounded by ranged artillery and then they will just die. They have some armor, like some HP, but they're not like gonna sit there and tank like a mammoth or anything. So if you micro them, yeah, they're like B or A tier, right? But a lot of the times I see defensive Razorbacks, and then it's like, even then, like the defensive Razorbacks, oh, it's like a death flag basically. It's like, oh no, my team is losing. Quick, we need something that can turn the tides. Defensive Razorback. Oh no, dude. Oh no. Okay. Pro players will still build them because all that considered, if you're microing them and you're using them like insanely well, like they can be really good. It's just most of the time I see them, they're kind of just like it's a Razorback unit, it's a T3. So it's just a so-so unit, which is why I put it at C tier. We talked about the Prude. Butlers are T2 combat engineers from the botline factory for Armada. Yep. They're T2 engineer, they're a combat engineer. They can build some weird structures and units. I always forget what they can build. That being said, all of those units in consideration, they're still a very useful unit because they can help your T2 unit, your actual T2 engineers upgrade your mexes to advanced mexes, which help your income. So they're pretty good to help speed up your production power. Cloakable fusions. This is the Armada exclusive. Cloakable T1 fusion, right? Cloakable fusion, right? That is actually a really good structure. You can put your first one in like a corner and it'll save you if you need to rebuild. It's very, very useful, which is why it's B tier. Very nice, very balanced. It's cloakable, so it costs energy upkeep, so it gives you less energy than if you just built a regular T1 fusion, right? Thors. Thors, I'm gonna keep where they are. Thors, they're like these relatively high HP tanks that are really slow though. They have a D-gun which fires basically a paralyzer bolt or tactical missile that also lands in like up to 13 seconds. I forget the exact number, but it takes a little bit of difficulty to land on the enemies to EMP them. It has some close range phalanx. I think it's called close range phalanx that shoot at like little close by units. It just like that's a very minor DPS. Its main DPS comes from its main turret, which it fires like a chaining Lightning Bolt, which it's basically built to deal with spam, right? It does okay damage against high HP targets, but it's really good against spam, basically. Spam including like ticks and pawns and grunts, basically. It's really good against that. Other than that, if you're going to fight T3 with Thors, you better have a lot more Thors than they have T3, because Thors, because they're so slow and have such a low range, they will take a lot of damage before they reach into attacking range with the enemy, and so they kind of don't do so great at like assaults, frontline assaults as well. The only time it really works with the Thor push is if you have a lot of Thors, like 3+ Thors, 4 Thors or more, and the enemies don't have like the same number of T3 units. That's when the Thor usually wins, but in that case, it's like you already had an advantage with T3 units and army value, so it's not really the Thor that is that great. So that's why I keep it at B tier. It's still an okay unit to put out. It's just an okay T3. Fat Boy, we gotta nerf, guys. Fat Boy, we gotta bring down. I have not seen Fat Boys doing that well, so I'm gonna move them down here. Fat Boys are just okay. They're the Czar equivalent for Cortex. So basically, they move around really slowly. They have decent HP. They have medium range for T2, medium to low range for T2. They fire like they lob a motor shell that lands is moderate speed, right? It does a lot of AoE and damage. It often team kills you because what happens is the enemy team will tick spam or they'll send in grunts nonstop, and the Fat Boy will keep targeting them as they're running into your line, so they'll friendly fire you. So I'm bringing them back down. They're just, yeah, I'd rather have a Thor than a Fat Boy at this point. Yeah. Fat Boy is haven't been doing that great. Yeah, Fat Boy needs buff. Fat Boy needs buff. Okay. Wielders are just okay, solid, very balanced B tier units. They're little tanky bot. They're tanky bot units that move slowly. They have medium range, medium to low range. They deal with spam. They're made to pretty much protect sharpshooters. And they also do cost energy to fire each shot. So that's why I'm just keeping them B tier. They're okay. Jaguars, I think Jaguars are better. Actually pretty good. Yeah, I'll talk about Jaguars. I don't know if I want to move them to A tier because they have some lacking. So they're really good because they're a T2 stopgap unit. Like you can, if you're under pressure and you just got the T2 and you need units out right now, you send out the Jaguar. The Jaguar has basically the same weapon as a wielder. It deals pretty well against spam. Not as great as a wielder, but it does well against spam. It's very fast, actually. It's a fast unit, and it has onboard anti-air, just like the Platypi. Its HP is kind of weak, though. It's a little bit soft on HP, and its DPS is only moderate. It's really good when you have packs of them because they will all alpha strike the same target and pretty much delete that unit. Within its like tier range, like tier 2, tier 1, right? That's why it's very good for run-bys as well. If you break through the enemy line, you can send Jaguars in, and because they have onboard anti-air, they can generally get in pretty far in because the air player will have trouble dealing with them, and land units also have trouble dealing with them because they're so fast. And they have, it's like a T2 light tank, basically. It is good punch-through power, right? It's okay. It's good. It's good. I really do like them. It's just a little hard to get to T2 and then spam these out. Also, because they're so flimsy, like when you're in that artillery phase of the game, like it's kind of hard for them to get in, All right. Stouts, I'm keeping them where they are because they still haven't been doing as good as the bots, basically. What happens is on low metal maps, you can't get enough of them that quickly, and so they struggle versus the bots, the rocket bots that come out. On high tier maps, high metal maps, what happens is commanders degun them a lot because they have turn rates, and as you get higher up in the ranks, players are really good at degunning, and so because these are so expensive on metal, if you get degunned with these and you lose like 5 to 8 of them, like that's like game losing. Like it feels really bad because each one is like 300 metal or something. So if you lose like 5 of them, that's already 1.5k metal that you just lost. That's almost T2 at that point. And the number of times I've seen people have like 5+ stouts or medium tanks get like degunned is a lot. Okay, it happens often. Otherwise, like, I mean, they have good HP and damage and range and speed, but it's just like against the bots and against the meta, same deal with the pull. Against in comparison with their counterpart on Cortex, the Cortex Tiger tank, which is the main battle tank, is honestly much better. It's the Tiger tank is less expensive, pretty much has the same DPS on a single target. It feels like it has more HP. It's just more cost efficient. The bull just doesn't have enough HP to warrant its cost. It's too expensive for its HP. Its DPS is okay. It has okay AoE. It's not great AoE. Its speed is so-so. Its range is so-so. So it's just like it's kind of just balanced. I think the Cortex one is just better. Vanguards, I do have to move up in my tier list. I'm gonna move them. Actually, I'm gonna move them slightly above the Mauser. Actually, you know what? I grossly underestimated how good Vanguards are. So the Cortex equivalent is the Catapult, and I actually didn't realize this, but the Vanguard is like 50 or it's like 30%, 33% to 50% cheaper than the it's like 1,000 metal cheap, or is it 1,000 or 1.5k metal cheaper than the Catapult, and that's actually pretty significant. And the difference between the two is that the Catapult fires a rocket barrage, right, over a large area. The Vanguard just keeps pelting shots, but the thing is, it fires shots more quickly than the rocket barrage reloads. And this is a, what do you call it? A spider unit, so we can climb cliffs. So it can get additional range. And because it's a lower cost unit, you can get more of them out quicker and kind of just overwhelm defensive positions. It also actually has longer range. One downside is it is a plasma unit, so plasma deflectors can block it. But because you can get more of them out, the plasma deflectors kind of have a losing matchup because you can just get enough vanguards and break through the plasma deflector and then destroy the plasma deflector. And then the enemy is down 3,000 metal for the deflector. So vanguards are actually really good. I think they're actually one of the better T3 units for Armada, and that's why I had to move them up. I think that I was underestimating them. So yeah, I'm putting them there in A tier now. Gremlin tank is a stealth tank. It has really abysmal range and speed, but it can cloak, it can destroy fusions, and that's why it's a B tier. It's like it's a gimmick strategy. It's countered by stealth detection. It's a building. It's like anti-nuke. The building is like an anti-nuke. It has a range to detect stealthy units. You just run a bunch of ticks in to detect to find the gremlin. Any unit that bumps into the gremlin will unveil its cloak. Ambassador, I'm going to. I think they're good, but the thing is, the things that keep them back, I have two reasons that I keep them back. One is I think there's still an issue where the most of the rocket type units can't fight command for some reason. I don't know why, but I remember testing it. The ambassador can't fight command into the enemy. So if you fight command into the enemy line, it'll just run in and die. Yeah. Also, it's because of that, it's hard to micro, and so it's just an okay unit. I mean, otherwise, it has good range to deal with the defensive lines that are created in AV8s all the time. So these are actually really good units if you can micro them, right? If you can micro them and move them around your base and stuff and frontline, they're actually good units. Whistlers, I think I do need to move to the bottom of A tier now. It's the same with the other. I'm gonna move them above that. Yeah. Above the recruits. Okay, it's the same deal with the Cortex missile tank because it's roughly the same in the T1. It's a T1 missile tank. It has a long range, low DPS, slow speed. So it's not great on its own, but it's really good in mass. And over time, people have just been using this more and more. And honestly, I've seen this actually dominate a lot more than I thought it used to. And so it's actually a pretty good opening strategy. Just to spam Whistlers. Pretty good for holding front line, actually. So I'm moving that to A tier. It's very solid at this point, I think. We talked about Jaguars, but Centurions, I'm going to... This one's tough. Like, the top of B tier is like almost borderline A tier. Like, Centurions are pretty solid units. I will move them up. Because they can do one thing in the T1 phase. They can kill commanders. Like, they're actually really reliable at killing commanders. I think they're actually pretty solid. Like, there are some strategies you can do with Centurions that you cannot do with Cortex Pounders, basically. Like, killing commanders is a huge win over Pounders for Cortex. So basically, Centurion is a heavy bot with slow to medium speed, medium range. It fires a laser quite rapidly, so it has really good DPS. It destroys T1 assault bots, like pawns and grunts and ticks and stuff. It rips them apart, right? That's what it's designed to do. And because it's a bot, it can be microed back and forth pretty quickly, and so it can actually hunt down and kill commanders. If you micro it perfectly, you can keep the commander out of its range, within its range, but out of the commander's range, and just kill the commander. with Centurions, the Centurion should not ever get degunned if you're microing properly. All right, Blitz. I think Blitzes weren't doing so well, but I'm going to move them up again to low A tier for one reason. Compared to the Cortex Light tank, the DPS on the Blitz is still very good, actually. And I actually started doing a strategy on Supreme Ismith that does rely on Blitzes. I'm going to keep it a secret because I was beating a whole bunch of high tier players with it. I won like 4 games in a row with this strategy. Not consecutively, but using this strategy, I won like 4 games. I only used it like 4 times because I had to take a break because of school and stuff. But there was a strategy with the blitzes. It's a little bit weird. It's not like you're opening with blitzes, but it involves blitzes, and it's pretty good. So I think blitzes are good. Their DPS is one of their main saving graces. Their speed as well. Actually, their tankiness isn't actually that bad. All things considered, it's actually not that bad for their cost. It's not that bad, actually. So, moving into A2. Tumbleweed is still a very good unit. It's basically slept on. I don't know if it was this one or if there's another version of the Tumbleweed that can cloak, but it's a mobile suicide bomb that is really good. It's a slept on unit. It's still kind of hard to use, but I think people sleep on it. It's definitely still a slept on unit. All right, we talked about the Blitz. Recluses were oppressive at one point, but they got nerfed. They had like a speed and range nerf or something. They're still good units, so I'm gonna move them down to balanced. Actually, no, I'll keep them A tier because they can't. If you're microing them, they still can be pretty solid. They can be pretty solid still because they have really good DPS and they can take down a lot of the T1 defenses that are still out. All right, Rovers. This is T1 vehicle scout. If you open with vehicles, this is your scout and it's a solid unit. It's a solid scout, right? You really want to start your games with scouts, and so you will have to build them pretty much because if you're a frontliner on like an 8v8 map, like you need to frontline so you don't get enemy scouts to leak into your base and destroy your backline. Like, yeah, you don't want that. So Rovers do okay. In the Tick versus Rover battle, like in equal numbers, Rovers win. The thing is, Rovers, if you micro them improperly, they actually lose the fight. Because the Rover's turret turns and fires kind of slowly. So if you micro them poorly, they can lose against Ticks. So that's why I think Ticks are better. This is a T1 air transport. They can transport things like construction turrets, and I think light laser turrets or something, which actually is pretty good on Supreme Ismith, right? These are solid units that you might need to use if you're like the C player. Even if you're a front player, you might need to transport things around. Solid unit, don't sleep on it. All right. Is this a T2 bot lab? Or this is a T2 vehicle combat energy? I did not notice it, but I forget what the difference is between these at this point. They can build slightly different things. All things considered, I'm going to put the combat engineers in B tier. They're still good units, balanced units that can help your T2 engineers to actually build mechs and stuff. Additional fast mobile build power that can build a bunch of random stuff. Still solid units. Yeah, don't let its positioning confuse you. Maybe I should put them in the A tier because they're like all engineers are A tier. Oh my god, no, wait. I can't do it. It's going to mess up my tier list. The aesthetic is gonna the aesthetic. Wait, can I do it? Do I have enough space in the video? Okay, I can do it. Yeah, all the T2 all the engineers are A tier. Like all engineers are solid. Okay, I gotta keep them in A tier, right? Where were we? Rover the Ghost. It stays where it is. Like Ghost is a spy bot that can cloak. It can destroy itself to like EMP. I don't know if there was a change for that because I think I saw a lobby where there was like a change for that. I hope. The Ghost can still EMP, same with the Cortex version. Can still EMP with self-destruction. I think that it's a solid unit as it is, and it doesn't really need to be touched. Here are your radar jammer bots, like to have radar so you can see units beyond the fog of war, and to jam enemy radar. Talked about the Juno. Starlights. I think I'm gonna move the Starlight down. I'm gonna move it down to at the bottom of A tier at this point. There's a big problem with the Starlight is that you cannot mask them. They're still like solid ranged units because they have a very long range. It's a laser unit that fires very slowly but does a lot of damage at a long range. It moves slowly. It cannot fire backwards, which is a major downside now. It can only fire in front of itself, and it moves and turns really slowly. One of the major things that like makes me unhappy with this unit nowadays is that Starlights explode when they die. And if you're massing them, they can chain react, like really ugly chain reactions, and just completely wreck your army. So I'm moving them down. That being said, you can still be oppressive if you have a row of starlights and you just F command into the enemy army. There's like, if they have no response, they have no response. It is countered by ticks and stuff. Like you can just overwhelm their rate of fire with tick spam, right? So they're still decent units, but I just don't think they're as strong as they used to be, or as I thought they were. Atomic bombers are still really good units. I'm going to move them up just above the Hound here. Atomic bombers are a T2 unique unit for the Armada faction. It flies relatively quickly. It has relatively good HP for a bomber. It's just like, it's still moderate HP. It can tank a couple hits. It shoots down a bomb that if it's a high damage bomb, and I think 2 can guarantee a commander kill. 1, I think it depends on the HP of the commander and how you hit it and stuff. If you like land directly on it, it might kill it. I don't know. So 2 is like reliably kills the commander. It's a bomber. I mean, bombers are solid. It can destroy enemy backline fusions. Like, very good. All right, Mauser T2. This is probably still the best T2 vehicle artillery in the game because it's the cheapest spammable one. It has good range. It can combat a lot of the ranged units in the game. It's just a solid T2 artillery unit. Its AoE is okay. It's not great, but you know, it's just absolutely solid. Very good, honestly. Maces. Maces have these are T1 light plasma. Is it light or medium plasma bot? It's a plasma bot. Okay, it's the plasma bot from T1. It's like your soldier unit basically. It's solid. It kills commanders. If you have enough of them, you can push down guard towers and push positions. Right. It's just a solid unit on like very low metal maps, low metal income maps. Maces are really good. You just mass them, very good. We talked about Vanguard, Platypi. Pawns, I think I'm going to move them to the bottom of the A tier right now because they have a winning matchup against Grunts right now. I think they do better overall. There was a cost change for like a lot of the low cost units here. Pawns are doing better right now. On Supreme Ismith, what happens is I've seen if both players spam their bots, the pawns should generally win a little more because the pawns just win the engagement. The grunts don't have enough DPS right now. The pawns, because they have higher speed now than the grunts, they can and the grunts don't really have a significant range advantage. The pawns are winning the engagement a little more. The cost difference between the pawn and grunt isn't that great, and the build time difference isn't that great as well. So the pawn kind of wins in the same amount of time. Sharpshooters are still strong units. I don't think they're oppressive units, but they're strong units, right? You can counter them with tick spam. They're expensive as well. They're vulnerable. They're squishy. They cost power upkeep. So I'm keeping them solid. If you think they're oppressive, then they're oppressive. But they're like low S tier, top of A tier still. So pawns are only S tier right now because I think they have a winning matchup against grunts, which is the equivalent. Yeah, and that's like the important thing. Januses, I'm moving up. Okay, Januses have still been doing great, and they still do great on like every map. They still do amazing on every map. There's even a D2 Janus. I'll get to that in the other video, but D2 Janus exists, guys. It cannot hurt you, but it exists. Actually, it can hurt you because it exists. Alright, Janus is a T1, like medium to... It's like a T1 specialty tank that like does a lot of damage with homing rockets. It's so good. It's so much AoE for T1. One shot kill all the bots. Like literally any pawn, any grunt that runs onto this. If it's a single pawn, single grunt, it cannot touch the Janus that is armed. Okay, just nutso, you know. So you get a bunch of these out. Like, you know, the enemy has a hard time dealing with them in T1. In T2 phase, they kind of, you know, a lot of the T1s lose against T2. So same deal with them. T1 mobile artillery for vehicles. This is the things haven't really changed for it. It's still a solid unit. If you mass them up, they can still fight a lot of these other T1 units. Maybe not the Januses, but they're still a solid unit. Like for the vehicle line, there's no better unit than like than this guy. If you have a massive units and in the T1 phase, and it's these guys, like you are winning right now. You can push down the enemy T1 front line pretty well if you have enough of these. Yeah, so I mean, they're solid units. I think Where did I put the missile tank again? Yeah, missile tank does combat the sharpshooter like in low numbers. The whistler has a little bit of the missile tank has a little bit of an advantage, but in higher numbers, I think the artillery tanks win out. Um, I think I think they're the only unit that can still push down T1 heavy plasma towers without being in range. I think whistlers can get hit by them. Like the missile tanks can get hit by the T1 heavy laser towers, heavy laser towers. Sorry. Yeah, I think these guys still outrange it. So they're like the key one. They're the king of pushing down T1 defenses. They obviously they won't outrange like a plasma artillery for T1, the expensive ones, right? It won't outrange it, but it can push down pretty much everything else. All right, this is your T2 flak anti-air vehicle. This is like the best flak anti-air unit you can produce, and so it's an S tier. It's like you really want to produce this. For bots, we still have the rocket bot in its same position. I think Januses are better, but rocket bots. I mean, for bot lines, I mean, it outranges light guard towers. It does not outrange like the heavy guard towers or the heavy laser towers, right? It's still a good unit for pushing down and harassing the enemy. Very good with micro as well. Like just good, solid unit. Titans are the most important heavy T3 unit for Armada. I think they're better to spam than Razorbacks or Thors. I think they're the best one because they have a built-in laser turret, which is like the tachyon laser, the very long range one. That's a very good laser. It's really good actually. It has it's like an ambassador rocket attached to it, and it has two little basically very slow, heavy pawn shots on its two of them, like little slugs, right? It shoots. It has good DPS, good tankiness. Its speed is okay. Its range is good. The HP for cost is great. And what else? It can be EMP'd, which is one of the downsides, but the number of times you get EMP'd with Titans is kind of rare. Maybe you might get EMP'd by Thors, but that kind of rarely happens anyways. And if you have enough Titans, you can still beat the Thors. Solid, most important T3 unit for Armada, because there is no other unit in like the Armada repertoire that can do what the Titan does. The Thor just does it a lot worse than the Titan. As like a front line, I hold the front line with a wall unit. That's what the Titan does. Marauders, I will move down beneath the Titan. I think Marauders have been dealt with a lot more. I'm gonna move them down beneath the Janus. Janus is so oppressive. Okay. No, they're still really good units. It's just that the enemies these days at high level are really good with dealing with them. They are more prepared with them. Mines counter them a little bit. Defenses counter them a little bit. Marauders still, they can also feed the enemy resources if they all die. So one downside, right? They're still really good units for diving into the back line and destroying everything. They are fast skirmisher units that have kind of weak range, but decent DPS. They have onboard built-in anti-air, just like the Platypi. Very good, very useful for getting into the backline, right? Very useful for staying in the backline as well. And their HP is okay. Their cost is quite low for a T3, and so you can get a lot of them out as like the eco player, and then try to break through. Like it's a solid unit. Like it's a game-ending strategy, so that's why it's still S tier. Tick is still the best spammable scout in the game. It was nerfed, but it doesn't change its position at all. It's still like unclassed, like in its own class. It's still so good. It's a scout unit with a tiny little laser gun. It is the cutest boy. It is so strong, and he attacks in waves and in constant lines, and he just distracts all your laser shots, your rockets, and he just distracts you, and he just blood sucks you, and then you die. Ticks are still amazing. Okay. And then we have the Resbot. It can resurrect units and reclaim units. I do recommend in 8v8s that reclaiming is more important than resurrecting. There are some cases where you want to resurrect units, such as your own commanders when they self-destructed. You might want to resurrect them. If there is a commander on the front line that has died, you want to reclaim them generally, because resurrecting takes a long time. It takes a long time and a lot of energy. It can slow your economy down if you're resurrecting. If you reclaim, that metal can go into your economy, and that can actually help you faster than if you were to resurrect them. Resurrecting is technically metal efficient, but in practice, reclaiming them helps your economy faster, usually. So you might want to resurrect your commanders. Sometimes there are like T3 units you want to resurrect. Sometimes there are units you just want to resurrect because you need units right now. But in most cases, you would much rather reclaim, in my opinion. I've seen cases where like they start resurrecting, they get him up, and then the unit immediately dies because it resurrects at like 10% HP or less or something, and then it immediately dies. And it's like, great, you wasted so much energy, and you basically got no value from that. All right. Commander is your S tier unit. The game revolves around commanders. It can degun to instantly destroy any unit in the game except enemy commanders. It has onboard laser, onboard build power. It's a very good unit. Game revolves around here, top of the S tier. All right, and that's the updated tier list for Armada for mid of 2025, I guess. Hopefully, there's no like crazy updates or meta changes, so this tier list can actually last a lot longer than my my second one, or my second pair. All right. I will do the Cortex one, and because this is my tier list, this is objectively the best tier list ever. All right. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.